Well, hello, wonderful educators. It is JL Waters, your Oasis mentor here. And listen, educators, I have such a treat for you today. I am so excited to have this wonderful lady on here with us today. Listen, she came to the teacher reunion and I was so excited to meet her and we have connected and she has an awesome business that is for educators that are a little bit different. They have come into education with an alternative path, and she just has a great business. I almost wanted to say ministry, but definitely it is a consulting business to help educators who are second career educators or they have changed careers to go into education. And I am so excited for you all to hear from her today. Her name is Dr. Patryce Harvey, and she is going to share all types of gems and wisdom with us today. So let's give her a round of applause, Oasis family. Dr. Patryce Harvey. Yay! Wow,
Hello
it
to
is.
all of you.
It is so good to have you with us today. I want to just start off for those who don't know who you are. Just first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. I am Dr. Patrice Harvey, and I am, first of all, a wife, a mom. I'm just a regular person who happens to have a consulting business. My business is called Dr. Harvey Coaches, and I work with supporting schools and organizations to help support and retain their second career teachers. Those teachers who have transitioned from other professions into the teaching profession. I currently am an eighth grade teacher myself. I teach an enhanced language arts class for eighth grade students. And these students are gifted or high achievers who are receiving not only the eighth grade curriculum, but they're also receiving the ninth grade curriculum as well. So when they leave me, they leave with some with a high school credit that they can take into the high school setting and kind of help get them a little bit ahead of the curve. So it's a rigorous course. I love it. It's a new course that my district has just started offering. Prior to that, I spent, oh gosh, probably about 15 years as a technology coach and as an instructional coach. And so I've had a lot of opportunities to work with a wide range of teachers, including a lot of second career teachers. So that's who I am.
Wow, that's incredible. So I'm interested as you went from coaching to classroom and then you're still doing the coaching through your consulting business. What led you or guided you, called you maybe to supporting those second career educators?
It was a sort of a number of things, but I will say the number one thing is the fact that I am married to a second career educator. My husband he served 23 years in the United States Army, and
Wow.
he retired as a lieutenant colonel and did 2 years in the civilian sector and then decided that he wanted to go into education. He had always talked about it, even while he was in the military, that was something he wanted to do later on. And so watching and supporting his transition
Mm.
from military, from the corporate civilian workforce
Yeah.
into the classroom was really an eye opener. And it highlighted and also kind of brought back some of the unique challenges that group faces coming into the K 12 education space. So he was my number one inspiration.
Mhm.
And he, again, working with him, just supporting him, like it wasn't even a formalized thing, but just the
Yeah.
conversations we would have coming home at the end of a day. You get two teachers together, they're talking about the kids and the class and all the things. And just
Yeah.
listening to him, I realized that, there were definitely some gaps there. I did
Yeah.
not really think of it as a pervasive problem. I just, I heard my husband. But then, it's like when you come into orbit, when those things come, into your sphere, and then you start kind of
Exactly.
paying attention. And I started thinking about all of the teachers that I've coached over the
Hmm.
years who were career changers.
Yeah.
And, again, thinking, well, maybe this is just me and my husband, but I am a woman of faith. And I had my consulting business and was in a different direction. And I just really felt the leading and the pull to say,
Mhm.
this is an area of need that you really need to explore further and that you are uniquely positioned to be able to support.
That's
So,
incredible. I love how God does that. I
yeah,
feel like you know how they say your testimony is in your test, or
yeah,
your message is in your mess, and it doesn't necessarily have to always be a mess, but but it's amazing, like you said, it is something that was so near and dear to your heart, and it was right there in your home. And then God gave you that one-on-one experience there, that gift and that experience that now like you can say, wow, I can help other educators. This is so important to me. I love how
right.
God does that. He does that
Yes,
so often. A lot of times what he helps you to overcome or what
yeah,
he uses you to help others overcome, it's like that's usually that vein or that area, that ministry that he wants you to, or that, that thing that he wants you to do. He's
yes,
just that's usually how he works things. He's cool
yes.
like that. That is so neat. Wow, I didn't know that. So I'm learning so much. And you've talked about, your own journey in education. So for you, you pretty much the whole time you knew like I want to be an educator.
Actually, no.
Okay, tell me about
Yeah,
that because I know like a doctorate and all of that, and you talked
right.
about your work experience. How did you get into teaching? How did that work for you?
Yeah, so I come from a long line of doctors, lawyers, preachers, teachers. That's my people. And so I initially went into school to be a doctor.
Wow,
Um,
like a medical doctor.
yes, a medical
Okay,
doctor.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
So I majored in biology. I was a pre-med major.
Wow.
Girl, that lasted for one semester. You have some people who, right out of high school, they probably should take a gap year.
Yeah.
And I think I was one of those people. I just got so immersed into the college experience that
Mhm.
I did not fully take advantage of that first year the way I should have. And so
Yeah.
my plans got derailed. I ended up pivoting into public health. And I
Wow.
worked in public health for probably about 7 or 8 years. I was a victims advocate, and then I was a mother baby advocate for the state of South Carolina. And from there, my mom she kept saying, you need to go back to school. You need to go back to school. Sometimes we get into the workforce and like, oh, this money is good. And I'm
Yes.
just doing my thing. But she was like, nope, you need a degree. You need to go back to school. So I said, well, I had some coursework that was kind of that would blend into. I had some psychology work and sociology and things like that. So I
Mhm.
thought, well, let me check out education. Went in, fell absolutely in love with because I'm a helper, and
Yeah.
so the
Yeah.
idea of helping students was so attractive for me.
Yeah.
And so I went into education. Um, I was an older student when I graduated, and from there, my journey into I had so much. I had the traditional teacher
Hmm.
training experience, but I was also married to a military man. And
Wow.
so I had a wide range of new teacher experiences
Mm-hmm.
in many different states up and down the Southeast.
Wow.
So I was new in a lot of schools and
Mm.
districts and, just that reintroduction.
Yeah.
And also being a lot of times a mid-year teacher, because
Mm-hmm.
if we PCSed and the years had already started, it's January. And so I was usually
Wow.
getting those positions that people had left for maternity leave, or, they
Wow.
decided, nope, I don't want to do this anymore. So it's kind of like a baptized by fire kind of situation.
Yes.
So yeah, my to answer your question, my path into education was not linear. It was lots of twists and
Mhm.
turns and curves, but I landed exactly where I was supposed to be.
Exactly. Wow, that had to be challenging too to keep moving state to state. Just I know just as a I mean I was not a military wife, but I can imagine the moving. You move so very often.
Yeah.
And then you're going to different schools, different states, different
Yep.
districts, and like you said, different times of year. And
Yeah.
so wow, you really were thrown in there. So
Yeah.
but really technically like this is you're a career changer.
I am.
Oh, yeah.
I am. Yep.
That's really cool. So now it's not only hubby, but you yourself, and you know the challenges, even though you were able to take that traditional route.
Right.
Because, and I know we've talked about this before, through Oasis, we talk all about burnout and we deal with burnout and teacher retention. But a lot of the principals talk to me about when I ask them, what are the major challenges you have in your
Yeah.
school right now? And one of the first things that they say is that we have a teacher shortage. And so
Yeah.
we're pulling teachers from all different walks of life, all different careers, and this is not their original career. They've
Right.
come through an alternative path. They might have a provisional, or maybe they're going through, I think it's called Teach for America. I
Uh-huh.
want to say, and just coming through alternative ways. And it's
Yep.
like they don't have that knowledge, that experience.
Right.
Maybe they didn't do student teaching. And so they struggle with having the manpower, the mentors, the
Yeah.
training specifically for those teachers. And that's another reason why I just know that what you do is so very important. It is so very very needed. So wow, I'm loving that. And so I just kind of want to ask, what will you say are some of the strengths? So I know, if you're coming into education, it's funny, I came in, my degree was in psychology. And I
Okay.
wanted to be a counselor. I wanted to be a therapist or a
Yep.
counselor. And I did not, being a teacher was the furthest was the furthest thing from my mind.
Yeah.
But I actually started having children and fell in love with children in general. Because before that, I didn't even babysit. I didn't know how to change a diaper. I knew nothing about children. And I didn't really even like children. but but I had four, started working in children's church and just fell in love with teaching children. And then, eventually went on and, went into education. You go back to school,
Right.
get your provisional, and then you go back to school and all of the things. So, technically, I am the career changer as well.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
get it. And it is because of those mentors. Those mentors, without the mentors that I had, yeah, I'm sure I would not be the teacher that I am today. So I know
Yeah.
how important that mentorship is. Tell me, what do you think are some of the strengths? What are some of the strengths of people who are coming into education as career changers?
I think one of the number one strengths that they bring is a sense of self-efficacy.
Mm,
They have a track record of success in a career path.
hmm
So they come with the sense that this is a new challenge, but with the right support, with the right guidance, I have a confidence that I can do this.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that is a really big asset that they come in with compared to teachers who come right out of college through maybe a more traditional route. They don't have a lot of the exposure, right? They don't have a lot of the life experience of
Yeah.
just overcoming challenges and,
Mhm.
tackling things head on. And
Yeah.
so those second career teachers bring a level of self-efficacy, and research shows that that teacher efficacy, that confidence in your ability to do something, it has really high effect sizes on student success.
It
And
does.
so that is definitely something that they bring to the table. I also think they bring a level of professionalism
Mhm.
that you might not see with students coming right out of a teacher program. They have been in the workforce. They understand work dynamics. They understand managing their time. A lot of the soft skills that
Mhm.
come with having had a career. They also bring a lot of leadership. They are, they have really good time management. Their ability to even adapt. They're used to having, changes in bosses and
Yeah.
leaders and different things. So they're a little bit more adaptable
That's
than the
good.
traditional right out of college teacher. So I think those
I
are
love
some of
that.
the strengths.
I think that's so true because one thing that I've noticed about educators is they don't like change. People don't like change, period.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
you're in corporate America or you're in another job, when they send a memo and say, this is what we're doing, that's what we're doing. That's it. It's no, now you might behind the scenes feel some type of way, but we're not saying, I don't understand why we're doing it this way. I don't want to, or they're just going to say, that's fine. I'm going to still do it my way. Or we're
uh-huh,
changing to this new, software or this new system or this new way of doing things. It goes
yeah,
down the line and you do it or you just don't have it, then you just don't have a job. But it's kind of in education, it's like we feel like we can kind of just do things the way we want to do things. And I mean, we do have to some extent some type of leeway, but sometimes the principal might say, this is what we're going to do, or we're going to do things this way. We're going to use this template for the lesson plan, or we're going to do these certain things. And you get all of this pushback
yeah,
where
yeah.
in corporate America, no, or in other fields, no, this is what we're doing. That's it. And I think they understand that. I never thought about that. But in my mind, I've always thought if you had another job, you wouldn't say and do some of the things that you're doing. And so they understand that. And that probably, I would think, as an administrator, that
Mm.
type of attitude, that personality, that character trait of coming in like that would be
Mhm.
really beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a maturity about them.
Mhm. Yeah.
Not only from the previous profession, but just life.
Yes.
Most second career teachers are older,
Yes, that's
and
true.
so they've got some life under their belt as well that
That's
helps
true.
with that. Yeah.
That's very true. So now that we've talked about the strengths, what are some of the challenges
Mm.
that those second career teachers face?
So I think along the same lines, we talked about the self-efficacy being,
Mhm.
really strong, but on the flip side, their efficacy as a teacher
Yes.
is something that's a challenge. I've talked to second career teachers who've said like, I managed people in my
Mhm.
previous job. I was a manager. I was a I hired folks and I oversaw whole departments. But
Yes.
having this classroom of kids,
Different.
it hits different. That's a totally different space to be in. And so when I say teacher efficacy, I mean specifically the what of teaching. You mentioned the pedagogy, right?
Mhm.
The understanding of what the knowledge, the skills, the
Yeah.
dispositions of what it
Mhm.
takes to be a teacher. I think that is an area of challenge for them. Another big area is classroom management because,
Yes.
like I said, I I was in charge of people and I say do XYZ and they do it. Or,
Yes.
I understand what it means to manage a project. And that's not the same as managing little humans.
Very true.
So that and more specifically, the line between what is too strict and too lenient. How do I find that balance?
Yeah.
Um, and so that's another area of challenge for them.
Yeah.
I think those two would be the biggest things, just the what
Absolutely.
of teaching itself.
Yes.
And then that ability to manage the classroom. Yeah, those are
Exactly.
two big areas.
Yes. Because even teachers I would say this is they've taken the traditional path. I think
Yeah,
classroom management is challenging, period.
it's for
It
exactly.
is very challenging, especially when and we all have them. We have those, how do I say, those challenging behaviors. We have
Yeah,
those certain students, we know them by name. The school knows them by name. And
yeah,
then how are you not only handling those, but it's some small things that you don't even think about, like lining up, or
yeah,
how are we going to do assignments? There's your name on this side of the paper. Are we
yeah,
doing it on the computer? It's so many small little details, and then trying to get the information to them. And you have small groups and you have
yeah.
various levels depending on, K-12, what you're teaching.
Yeah. And
Even
there's so
just
many decisions that we make as veteran educators that
yes,
you nobody can really train you for. Some of it is
yes,
just instinctive
yes,
because you've been doing it for so long. Um,
exactly,
and I will
exactly.
add another area that's a challenge for them is the software, like the
Mhm.
technology.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though just because they come from an area where they may be used to using technology on their
Yeah.
jobs, but
Hmm.
our programs are so specific
They
to
are.
education,
They
and
are,
we have
yes.
so many of them.
We do.
Definitely need help with those.
Yes, that is so, so true. I think just in general, I think too, maybe when you're coming from a different career and how education is so different too, is sometimes too, you take things home. Even if you're not taking the physical work home, you're
Mhm.
taking that mental load home. It can be so stressful, and you bond with your students and you care about them and their life and the different things, and you're bringing that home and you want them to succeed academically. And then they have family things, and then they have their behavior things, or they have things with each other, and just also just dealing with all of those things. I think that's
Yes,
really it's one of the most challenging professions. And when you're coming into it, like you said, that second career, that
yeah.
can be such a challenge. I want to ask you, like, if you were talking to someone, and there could be someone listening to
Mhm.
this today, and you have advice for them, they feel called. Maybe they're in an entirely different field, or they went to school, they're in school now, and they're just like you or someone else who said, this is not it. I really
Yeah,
think I want to be a teacher.
yeah, yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who they feel like they're called to teaching, but maybe they feel like it's too late to start?
So I think one piece of advice that I would give them is just be prepared. Um, Prepare yourself for what you are going into. There is so much negativity now out there about why people should leave the profession. So, first of all, I want to say we need you. Like,
Absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
please come. We welcome. It's refreshing to hear that there are people who still want to come into the profession.
Yes.
um, my advice would be, you know, get to know, talk to other people that you know who are happy
Yeah.
in the
There you go.
profession.
Absolutely.
Surround yourself with people who enjoy what they do, people
Yes.
who want to be,
Yes.
who are vested educators, and
Mhm.
find out from them a little bit more about what to expect when you come
Mhm.
in. I would also say be realistic about the transition. Be
Mhm.
realistic about the fact that this is teaching is not for the faint of heart.
Yes.
This is a mission like driven. You have to really um, have a bigger purpose than a paycheck.
Absolutely.
If you
Absolutely.
were coming from a different career, your salary is probably going to look a lot different
Yeah.
in education.
Mhm.
And and also recognize that those challenges are not showstoppers. It's okay. It doesn't matter what path you choose. There's obstacles, there are challenges in anything that you do, but know that you are not coming with a deficit. Don't come with a deficit mindset. Come with the mindset of you have so much that you are offering beyond, we can help you with the logistics. We can help you with the doing the lesson plans and all of those things. But what you bring, what you
Mhm.
have to offer, your life experience,
Mhm.
your that intuitive knowledge that you have of what it's going to take for these kids to become productive citizens in life. They need you. They
Yeah.
need that from you. And so don't let all of the TikToks and the videos and the all the things,
Really?
don't let that scare you off.
Yes.
We need you, we welcome you, and our kids, they need what you have to bring to the table.
Yeah, so true. What kind of support do you feel like those second career educators, what type of support do you feel like they need those first few years? Because I know year 1 through 3.
Yeah.
1 through 3 are so important. What is some of the support that you feel like they need during those first few years?
Well, I think to answer that, we got to go back to defining who they are, right? We got to go back to what you said at the beginning of some of those characteristics.
Yeah.
And remembering that these are teachers who did not necessarily go through a traditional, teacher preparation program.
Yes.
You also have to keep in mind that because they didn't go through that teacher prep program, a lot of the I keep saying the what of teaching, just the day-to-day what it means to be a teacher.
Yeah.
So a lot of the importance of building relationships
Mhm. Yes.
with their fellow teachers, with the administration, with their students, and with the parents of their students.
Yes.
It's so important forming
Mhm.
those partnerships with the parents, because the
Yes.
parents can give you that unique perspective into that child
Yes.
that you need. And you're going to need them. You're
Mhm.
going to need them to partner with
Absolutely.
you.
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
I think the other level of support that they need is to know that their administrators and that the people in the building are there for them. That
Yes.
you never want to make so many assumptions about someone coming in from another profession that, okay, I've vetted you, you're hired, I know you're an expert in your content, now go forth and be great. They still need
Hmm.
the same level of induction and support that a new teacher would need to
Absolutely.
help fill those gaps. There's gaps that exist between transitioning from I was an expert in my field
Mhm.
to now I need to be able to translate that in a way that students understand. So, again, all the pedagogical parts
Mhm.
that go along with being a teacher.
Yes.
Um, and just a relationship with their administrators, knowing that the administrator is rooting for them, that they care about them, that they see them as a person, the check-ins. How are you doing? You know,
Yes.
how is your transition going? What do we need? What how can we help you? And another thing is, believe it or not, resources.
Wow.
Yes, resources. I've worked with so many professionals coming into education who get stumped at filling out a lesson plan template.
Yeah.
First of all, because they vary so much from district to district, from school building to school building.
Sure.
So there's so much of the nuances of, I have it here, but I don't necessarily know how to word it in a way that it will fit here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Support in the culture, the customs, the language of just being a teacher, the culture of a building.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I heard the Wongs. They have a book about new teacher induction, and they use the analogy of adopting someone into your family.
Mm.
If you adopted a child, or if you welcomed an in-law into your family has its own isms. They have their own sayings. They
Yeah.
have their own customs and culture. And that's the same thing with the school building. So the principal wants to really welcome and
Mm-hmm.
acclimate that career changer into their specific universe, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that was a lot, but
No, that was good, and it kind of brought me into that next question because that's really that support that because I was going to ask you what can schools and administrators do what can they do to help those second career, teachers to support them more? And you kind of delved into that. Are there any other maybe mistakes that you see that schools make other than, and I think you talked about that onboarding where
yeah,
it's kind of like, hey, you're here, you're good. You're good. Go forth. I say that all the time. Go forth and be great.
yeah.
Any other challenges with that or mistakes that you've seen that maybe schools do or administrators do when it comes to those career changers or those second career educators?
I think one big mistake is assuming or thinking that they don't need mentorship.
Mhm.
Yeah, that they don't need support, because those professional skills don't automatically translate into classroom management,
Yes.
skills.
Mhm.
Um, Making also um, assuming that they've got it right. Like, once I've onboarded them, once I've given them that fire hose of information during new teacher orientation,
Mhm.
that they're going to be good, that I
Mhm.
can just walk away. I don't have to worry about them. Let me focus more on my, what we call baby
Baby.
teachers, right?
Hmm.
Let me focus more of my energy. I think that's a big mistake. Don't leave them. A lot of second career educators end up leaving the profession because they don't feel like they got the support that they needed. So
Yes.
getting that support is critical.
Yeah.
Um, and also, but at the same time, recognize and respect what they're bringing to the table in
Hmm.
terms of their professionalism, right?
Yes.
In terms of they understand the need for professional growth and development.
Hmm.
But don't just leave them out there, and don't assume that just because you assign a mentor to them, that the mentor is prepared to give them the support that they need. So
Yes.
many mentorship looks so different from building to building.
Yes.
And sometimes those new teachers, like, they don't even know they have a mentor. There's a
Yes.
mentor assigned to them on paper, but there's
Hmm.
never been a face-to-face interaction, an introduction, or an ongoing listening ear, someone who's going to be there to walk them through what they need to be successful in that classroom. So don't assume. Don't make any
Yes.
assumptions.
Yes.
Give them the support, give them the help that they need.
Yeah, I think that's so true because a lot of times in other professions, you have like you're shadowing someone. You shadow, like if you're coming into, you have these certain trainings, you do these modules, you shadow for a while, you kind of stay with that person for a while, then they kind of let you go. But it's sometimes in education, I know there have been schools, there's no mentorship program at all.
Yeah,
And they're just
yeah,
out there. And I know that is one of the number one reasons why educators leave, whether it is you took the traditional path or it's a
yeah,
second career. One of the main things that they say the reason why they leave or they're burned out is because they don't have the support or the mentorship that they need. And I think that it's so great what you do. And I want you to talk a little bit more about your business. Talk more about your consulting. What do you do to support these wonderful educators? We'd be so interested to learn about that.
Well, I provide that support in a variety of ways. Directly to the schools and then also directly to the educators themselves. So when
Mhm.
I partner with schools, it's in more of a coaching capacity,
Mhm.
where I am able to work either one-on-one or in small groups with
Okay.
teachers who have made that transition. And again, the biggest focus being on just what it means to be a teacher. When I
Mhm.
tell you just the language, the jargon, the acronyms,
Yes, it's a whole culture. It's a
yes,
whole
it's a
culture.
whole culture all
It
by
is.
itself.
It is.
And a
Yeah.
lot of the surprise sometimes comes with a person who is used to the structure, and I've got SOPs and I've got guidelines and I've got policy and all of these things, and I know what to expect
Exactly.
versus being a teacher. You never know from day to day,
Yes.
from class period to class period,
Yeah,
what's going to happen in a day.
exactly.
So the way that I support those teachers is number one, just making sure that they get the feel for what it means to be a teacher under their belt.
Mhm.
And I do that by helping them develop systems, processes, and procedures that can help them in five core areas.
Okay.
Again, number one, what it means to be a teacher in general. Number two, being organized,
Mm.
having a system, having a process in place, using different protocols. If I want my students, for example, to do a group project, what I see often is that the teachers will just say, okay, today we're working in groups, and then not understand like the back end, the
Mhm.
behind the scenes. You got to train them to be in a group. You got to
Yeah.
set those expectations.
Yeah.
Also, just in terms of being organized as a teacher,
Yeah.
we have resources, we have space. A lot of professionals, a lot of regular teachers struggle with coming
Yeah.
into an empty space
Yes.
and knowing what to do with that space. So
Yeah.
we talk about how to organize your space to make it functional, and to minimize disruption in the classroom. Then we
Yeah.
talk about designing and differentiating lessons
It's really
for
good.
student mastery, not just I'm teaching it. So everything from here's a standard, here is how you unpack that standard. Here are the skills. Here is how you make sure that those skills are addressed. Here is how you assess to determine mastery for those skills. Sometimes teachers who come from different professions, they teach at the high school level. And
Mhm.
they may already have a set curriculum. I see a lot of CTAE teachers, right, who
Yeah.
come in and they are in a specific area of
Yes.
education. And
Mhm.
so even those teachers turn in what they know, that professional knowledge, into teacherese, if you will.
Yes. Mhm.
We also talk about engagement, not just behavioral engagement, but
Mhm.
cognitive engagement. What does it look like? What's the difference between compliance and
Mhm.
engagement? And how do we get those kids to become engaged? Apathy is another big surprise for
Yeah.
people coming in from other professions. So, how do I take those kids and light that fire and
Yeah.
ignite that interest in what it is that you have to share with them? And then the last area that we focus on is literacy integration.
Mm.
I am a literacy expert. I'm trained in reading and literacy. And one thing that I see a lot of second career teachers and teachers in general struggle with is how do I address the reading, writing, listening, and speaking? I'm not a reading teacher. I don't
Mm.
want to be a reading teacher. I don't know how to get, and helping them understand you don't have to be a reading teacher, but
Yeah.
there are innate literacy components in what you're teaching, whether you realize that or not. Let's
Yes.
come up with strategies. Let's design lessons so that we naturally address those literacy pieces in what you're doing. Um, so that's a lot, but
Incredible. That is
yeah, working and
amazing.
supporting those teachers. I also support schools because of my literacy background, and I don't really talk a whole lot about this, but
Sure.
I also support them in just making sure school wide that they have
Mhm.
a comprehensive approach to literacy in their buildings because they have a lot of teachers who have no idea what to do. They got kids that are struggling. I got kids in
Mhm.
my room who are reading 2, 3 grade levels below, and I'm trying to teach them science. How do I do
Mhm.
that? How do I close that gap? So I
That's
help
good.
schools to be able to figure that out as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. So that partnership do you have, do you work with them just throughout the year? How does that look?
It depends on what the school needs. I
Sure.
customize it based on what the school is
Amazing.
asking for. Some schools want more of I come in and maybe do a 6 week
Mm-hmm.
coaching with a teacher where we look at areas that they are struggling with, and we set goals around those, and we go through more like a traditional coaching cycle with them where we monitor their progress, and then we set some benchmarks for success, and we're able to pivot as needed. And then sometimes they want more of because these are busy people, right?
Exactly.
They are very busy and they may not have the time. So I also have a standalone program that the teachers can engage in that is more self-paced. But it
That's
goes through all of that information and it gives them practical, hands-on. They have tasks that they have to do. And then
mm,
there's a support where maybe we can do check-ins once a week to find out what is their progress with that particular, in that particular area that they need help with. So it just depends on what the school needs. We can customize it to fit the needs.
yeah, absolutely. I love that. So how can someone get in contact with you? And we'll make sure to have all of your information in the description
Okay.
below. But I just want to just tell them right now how they can get in contact with you if they're like, hey, an administrator's like, I need you for my school, or a teacher's like, I want to go in education and I need this, or I've been hired and I need this. How can they
Yeah,
get in
yeah.
contact with you?
So the easiest way is to reach out to me through I have a website,
Okay.
mrsharveycoaches.com. Um, and so there's ways that they can set up to do one-on-one call so that
Sure.
I can kind of flesh out a little bit more about what their specific needs are. And that's whether as a school or as an individual teacher.
Sure.
I also created a space on Facebook called the New Teachers Lounge. And that is a space for teachers who are at the beginning phases of transitioning from their previous profession into education. We have all kinds of resources, and I do lives, and I have videos posted there for teachers to if so that we can connect that way. I'm on LinkedIn, so you can just do a
Okay.
search for Patryce Harvey on LinkedIn. They can reach out to me that way, and then like I said, most of my contact information is on my website.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, I have absolutely loved this time. This has just been so informative, so insightful. You are just such a gift to education. I'm so glad that we connected, and
I am too.
yeah, this is just absolutely exciting. I'm so excited by the work that you're doing with educators, and I just want to honor you for, God using you and you saying yes to the calling, not just to education, but also to work with educators in this specific area where we know that, without that support, more than likely they will not continue in the field, or they won't have that same experience and love that they could have if they just had the right support. So I wanted to
Exactly.
honor
Exactly.
you and thank you so much for your time
Thank
with
you
me
for
today.
having me. I love your channel. I love the work that you do to help teachers manage, and have find that balance, right? And make sure that they're whole and that they're
Absolutely.
okay.
Yeah.
And so I've gotten some good information from your from your YouTube channel. So I feel honored that you even took time out to have me on your program. So thank you.
I appreciate that as well. Well, final words. If any final words, anything that I didn't touch on or anything you feel led to share anything else before we wrap it up today.
I just, again, want to encourage that teacher who is sort of on the fence and feeling like, maybe they've got their first year under their belt and it didn't go the way that they thought it was going to go. And, they, like many of us, spent those first few weeks of summer rehashing and, maybe they've gotten those state test results, and they're feeling some kind of way. I just want to say, first of all, give yourself some grace.
Yes.
Give yourself grace. You are in a unique position, and the learning curve is real, but it is something that you can overcome. I also want to encourage you to find someone that you can talk to.
Yeah.
Find whether you work with me or someone who's related to you or someone that's in education.
Yeah.
Find a safe space to be
Mhm.
able to talk about some of those challenges that you're facing, some of the questions, because I promise you, you're not alone. And
No.
some of the things that you may be dealing with, there's nothing wrong with you. You didn't do anything wrong. You are just learning, you're
Yeah.
growing,
Mhm.
and growing comes with pains.
Yeah.
But don't suffer in silence. Don't decide to just, I'm done, I'm not good at this, I'm going to throw in the towel. Talk to somebody, find a support network, and know that you can do this. You
Yeah.
can do this.
It's beautiful. Thank you so, so much. Listen, go back and listen to this as many times as you need to. Share this with those career changers that you know. This has been so insightful, so helpful. Wow, she is giving you so many tools, and you could work with Dr. Patryce Harvey, and she could really guide you. She has her framework, she has her areas that she specifically works with educators, and I highly, highly recommend her. So grateful that she's here today. Like I always say, there is so much greatness in you. Go forth and be great. And I
Right.
will see you next time in the Oasis.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.